If you're curating and using data even at a really high level and you miss this one critical piece, you're wasting time and money, and as a result, you're likely thinking, why am I not getting enough leads? It's almost as bad as trying to revive 90s fashion. So stick with me because I'm gonna show you what that failure spot is and how to never make this mistake ever again. Because I'm Christian Weatherspoon with Real Estate Investing Made Easy, and it's time to make it easy. There's actually two things to address to avoid this mistake. And the first mistake I'll address using Propwire, which you can see I'm logged into here. And this has to do with download limits. Because you can get unlimited free data for prospect lists forever with Propwire, I would recommend you check it out. But when you're pulling lists in a case like this and you're getting this data for free, it's easy to throw caution to the wind when you're pulling lists, even if you're really good at stacking levels of motivation and nailing it, because then you're met with a 10K at a time download max, which we actually have right here. So if I click this and I try to export it, if I'm at 250, that's totally fine. However, the issue arises as soon as I go select max. I have 18,053 records, and this is where this problem shows up. Most of us just try to readjust our filters to get a smaller list, and that actually adds to the problem. If you don't put a science to this, you're going to pull duplicate records without knowing it and pay to skip trace those records. But you can solve this problem, and I'll show you how right now. Adjust your search in a very trackable way. For instance, we can go to property details and look at the year built, and then go to max year built 1950. Let's see what happens. Now we have exactly 10,000. By the way, I didn't do that on purpose. I had no idea that it would be exactly 10,000. But now we can see anything from 1951 and beyond would total the rest of the list, 8,000 or so. So I can pull two lists and be sure that I didn't duplicate pulling the same record. So when I go to skip trace that list, I don't have to worry about paying for that same group or groups of property records again to skip trace it. So now I'm just going to go to my download. I've got them all selected in this new refined search, everything built up to 1950. So I'm going to download them and choose the selections that I want to see, all of these details, in fact, and then you'll either download the list from whatever data provider you're using, or in this case, they'll email me directly with the list. So now because I've pulled these 10,000 records of what totaled in my search criteria for free and clear single family homes owned by an individual just by adding everything built in 1950 or before, this 10,000 list that I pulled, I can then confidently choose 1951 and after and know that there's going to be, at least as of today, 8,000 or so records. Still now I'll be within that 10,000 list limit. But we're not done yet, because there's another thing that's critical that you need to include every time you pull a list. You need to track your data. And one thing that we use to track our data as our particular process is a custom created doc that we use. And you see this on the screen in front of you. It is a campaign list tracker. We use this for us and to fulfill for our Done For You marketing clients' marketing campaigns. And that's why this isn't really filled out as much, because typically we'll interview them on a data strategy. But in the same way that we would do that for a client, doing this for yourself will be really important to track your campaigns. Consider the top counties that you're going to invest in. Consider the cities or MSAs, metropolitan statistical areas, and any desired zip codes that you want to target and also want to avoid. In addition, be sure that each list that you're pulling, you understand what your exit strategy is going to be, beginning with the end in mind. For us, I'll give you a sample of what we do. Some of the lists we pull are for subject to rentals, and some we're looking for a combination of those, whether it's cash, wholesale, or whether it's going to be just a fix and flip to renovate. The point here, though, is make sure that no matter what you use, you're tracking the lists that you pull so you can check those data points against the last lists that you pulled to ensure that you're not pulling duplicate records, because skip tracing can get expensive. And it's important, no matter what platform you're using to skip trace, that as you manage your data properly, you choose naming conventions that you'll stick with and will make sense, so that you'll be sure that you'll know exactly what that list is. And this is an example on the screen of how we name all of our lists. That is year, month, right, in written form, so it collocates properly, and then the month spelled out. The client name, in this case, we are our own clients. So Lazarus Property Group is our investing company, and we are clients that we'll hire in our other company called Real Estate Investing Made Easy. So what we do is then put the list details in a short description. For this, it is the date, right, the year, the month, and then last prop, free and clear lists of landlords 1950 and older, which you saw was 10,000. It's important to keep track of that. And then remember to begin with the end in mind. This for our target is supposed to be buy and hold long-term strategy as we're investing. And then the remaining list, that was list number 2. So 001 and 002, the reason we do that is just to not get it confused with the date, where we're only choosing 2 characters for any day and any month. And that might seem like overkill, but trust me, after years and years and years of doing this, it is so much simpler to stay on point and keep track of your data. So what's critical to keep in mind, even if you've pulled the lists from your data source, whether it's Propwire or otherwise, and you've made sure to not pull duplicate records based on the criteria that you've adjusted, even if you have 50,000 records that you're pulling, 10,000 at a time, then it's critical, of course, as we just covered, to make sure you track each of those campaigns. You're still not out of the woods yet, though. You need to make sure that you use a good skip tracing company. And just because you find one on Facebook or somewhere else that says, I'll give you 3 cents a record, doesn't mean that it's going to be the highest quality data. So it's important that you actually find a great skip tracing company. And I'm going to give you my best skip tracer recommendation because I've been testing and measuring and tracking against others for the last several years. We'll look at the pricing really quick to let you see that they have 3 different accounts. A free membership, which will give you about the same skip per record that a paid version of batch skip tracing would give you. A premium membership that gives you 12 cents a lead. And what we have and what we recommend for you is the VIP membership at 8 cents a lead. In fact, if you click the link in the description below, which is our affiliate link, you will get 50% off your first month. So what I'll do is I'll sign in and I'll show you how easy it is to skip trace records inside of Best Skip Tracer. So logging in here, you can see it's pretty straightforward with the dashboard. Below here are the ones that are already skipped, as well as the progress of any new ones that you'll skip trace when they're being skip traced. And the way in which to skip trace this at 8 cents a record with the VIP membership is to simply just click skip trace and then choose the file by clicking on that and going through your browser, or you can drag and drop. Personally, I prefer the drag and drop option, and as you can see, I have another client here that's already pulled up. This is the way in which I would recommend you lay out all of your data, both not skipped, that are new lists, and skipped to campaign each year, continuing in the same way the entire time. Now, it's a new year. For every year, we actually create a new section for each month. And for the list we're about to skip trace, we are going to skip trace this Memphis list. And begin with the first one, 1950 or older, and then you can drag and drop it. And really simple to do this is as soon as it uploads, click the submit. So once you click submit, you'll be taken to this screen. Simply come down here and map the fields according to the headers. So the first thing I like to do is go to the name of the owner. So here we have owner first name. So map that clearly to the first name and then map this one to the last name. And then the only other things we need are the mailing address. So be sure that you choose mailing address as opposed to over here. It's the site address, right? Especially considering that this is a landlord list. So we'll look over here for the actual owner mailing address. And then this will be address itself, the city, then the state here, and then the zip code here. And that is all that's required. And then you just proceed as soon as it's analyzed the data to check it out. And now this is, again, this is 92% of that list were unique leads. So it removes the duplicates, so that 2,067 you don't have to pay for. And Skippy 3.0 will include referencing other lists across all of the other uploads in the system so that you don't have to pay for those duplicate records either. So we'll continue. And when you get to check out, don't forget who you heard this from. That is REIME, standing for Real Estate Investing Made Easy. And I'm going to place this order right now. And it's as simple as that. It'll confirm that everything's good to go. And then within 24 to 48 hours, usually it's a whole lot less than that, you will get the results and then you can upload them to your campaign. So now that we've addressed a critical issue that most investors are struggling with and how to avoid them to make sure your campaigns are a success, there's still the matter of making sure you're putting that data to its highest and best use in marketing. Because if you eliminate pulling duplicate data and you track and manage your prospect lists like a pro and then use the best skip tracer to provide the data that you need, you still have to understand what we cover in this next video. So click here and we'll see you in this next video where we'll be making your marketing campaigns crush it, and we're making it easy.